Hello and welcome to another Get On With Maths video. Today we're going to have a look at drawing histograms. So a really important data topic and one you need to absolutely nail on your higher exam. Like all of these watch, try, check videos, first of all I'll go through an example, then I'll get you to have a go at a question and then we'll go through the answers. So here is our question. A call centre receives 64 telephone calls one morning. The table gives the information about the lengths in minutes of these telephone calls. So you're given your frequencies, you can see them down the side there, 4, 10, 24, 20 and 6, and your lengths there on the left hand side. You've also already been given your axes to draw your histogram on, which we'll go through in more detail in a second. Whenever you see histograms, I want you to first of all think about finding out the frequency density. It's not written on there so far, so what you need to do is add in an extra column. Okay, so you can see I've added in an extra column there. Every single time you work out the frequency density is the frequency divided by the class width. So you've actually got all the information you need already to work out the frequency density. What you're going to do first of all is you're going to take this frequency here, this 4, and you're going to divide it by the class width. All the class width is the distance between that 0 and that 5, so that gap is 5. So your first frequency density is going to be 4 divided by 5. Gives you 0.8. Then you're going to do it again, so you're going to take 10 and you're going to divide that by this class width. What's the difference between 15 and 5? It's 10, so 10 divided by 10 is 1. And so on and so on. So for the next one you're going to do 24 divided by 15, 20 now divided by 10, and then 6 divided by 5. Now you've got your frequency density, that's what you're going to plot your histogram against, because remember, when you're doing a histogram, the density represents how many people or how many things are in this survey. It's not measured against the height, so it's not measured against the frequency. So to that end, if you look at the axes now, I've added in a scale there. I've added my frequency density with a 1, a 2 and a 3. Now I know the gaps are really small on that drawing, okay? If you have a look though, each of those squares represents 0.1. So I'm now going to plot my histogram. At this point so far you've got 2 marks. You're going to get another 2 marks for correctly drawing this. So if I look at my first one, the length is 0 across to 5 and it goes up now, my frequency density, it goes up to 0.8. So I've plotted that point in there. My next one goes from 5 to 15 and that goes up to 1 and you can see that one there. Notice how, unlike a bar chart, all the bars here are touching. They're different widths as well. Okay, so all of those things are really important as you go through. So have a look again, have a look at this one before I move on to the next one. I've joined these all up, okay, I've checked them against the scale and I've drawn them accurately, okay. Make sure you use a ruler when you draw these. So just to recap all of this already guys, the most important bit there in bright yellow for you is the frequency density is the frequency divided by the class width. It's really vital that you understand that. You're not going to be given that, you need to work that out. Don't fall in the trap of just plotting it against the frequency. That's what happens to people who get no marks. So, as always, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to put a question up on the board. So, the table gives information about the times in hours some students took to complete a piece of coursework. 2 things I want you to do here, guys, before you pause the video. Make sure you work out the frequency density, and then hopefully you've got some squared paper, and then you can have a go at plotting the histogram. Pause the video now and have a go yourself. Okay, hopefully you've had a go at that now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through this question and just double check your answer. Okay, so again, this is a slightly smaller question. You see it's only worth 3 marks time. It's just because it's a little bit shorter. What I want you to do first of all, remember, is that golden rule there. The frequency density equals the frequency divided by the class width. So we're going to add our column in. There it is, nice and green. And then we're going to do 30 divided by 20, 40 divided by 10, and 25 divided by 25. Really simple. That frequency density then is going to be the height essentially of each of your bars. Add in your scale, and again I've just gone for a nice easy one because I've counted the squares beforehand. So my first one then, okay, if I'm going along, it's going to go along 20 and it's going to go up to 1.5. My next one goes along from 20 to 30, that's a gap of 10, and it goes up to 4. And then my final one there from 30 to 55 goes up to 1. So really simple, okay? You're going to get a couple of marks for working out that frequency density and then a couple of marks very often for plotting that histogram as well, okay? If you need anything else guys, go back through this video, have a look at the guide, have a look at another look at this example and then just make sure you practice. Thanks for listening.